Chairman, thank you. Thank you, all of you, and your service. Please pass on our gratitude to the great folks that work with you as well. They work very hard, and most Americans don't get to see them and thank them personally in a restaurant and other places. So please pass on our thank you. Director Haynes, I do want to be able to talk a little bit about Iran. Many of us on this committee have traveled, some of us very recently, to the Middle East. Our allies in the Middle East and others in the Middle East are not excited about the JCPOA. They're not supportive of it. This report that's come out seems to be somewhat nostalgic of if only the JCPOA would have been accepted, none of this would have happened. It is a bit of a challenge when we're watching Iran dramatically increase its enrichment. Now the IAEA is now saying they're at almost 84% in a public statement there. How close is Iran right now, and what are their nuclear ambitions? Are they peaceful, or are they weapon systems, or what they're actually trying to be able to develop towards?
Thank you, Senator. We should obviously take this up further in closed session. I mean, I think we continue to have concerns. You've seen the report and the indication that that they are moving closer without a decision at this stage to pursue is our assessment, but nevertheless, getting very concerningly close.
Is Iran trying to be able to develop surrogate networks even into the United States, where they're choosing Hezbollah to advance across different regions, but also trying to develop surrogate networks in the United States right now?
Yes, Senator.
Is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. They have noted that they are trying to assassinate, for lack of a better term, some American former officials and have put out a list on that. My question for you and for Director Wray is, how are we handling that, and are we providing the adequate level of both information and security to those former American officials that have been specifically named by the RGC as on their target list for assassination?
Well, I'll start. There's obviously more we could talk about in closed session, but this is a threat stream that I talk about with my folks, my team, several times a week, which gives you a measure of what a priority is. And we are certainly engaged in the ways that you would expect with the individuals who are potentially targeted in terms of duties to warn and that sort of thing. And security varies for different individuals depending on the situation, and we're not the ones that provide the security, but we give them information that helps shape their approach to security.
Great, thank you. Let me follow up on this. Director Wray, there's a piece that came out recently out of the Richmond office that you have then come back and said, oops, that should have never gone out. But it was a piece that's in an unclassified document that came out of the memo, and the memo specifically states in the opening paragraph, violent extremist and radical traditionalist Catholic ideology almost certainly presents opportunities for threat mitigation through the exploration of new avenues for tripwire and source development. Wow. This goes specifically into these radical traditional Catholics and explains what a traditional Catholic looks like on it. Help me understand what's happened since then when this has come out.
Well, first let me say that when I first learned of the piece, I was aghast.
As you should be.
And we took steps immediately to withdraw it and remove it from FBI systems. It does not reflect FBI standards. We do not conduct investigations based on religious affiliation or practices, full stop. We have also now ordered our inspection division to take a look at how this happened and try to figure out how we can make sure something like this doesn't happen again. I will note it was a product by one field office, which is, of course, we have scores and scores of these products. And when we found out about it, we took action. We are also taking steps to reinforce with our workforce all of the longstanding policies we have that speak to this kind of thing. We've got refresher training for the relevant employees, et cetera. And we do not and will not target people for religious beliefs, and we do not and will not monitor people's religious practices. That's not acceptable.
That is completely not acceptable. That is, I had for the first time a couple of years ago, I had parents that came up to me in state and said, I went to a parent meeting at my school. Am I going to be monitored now? And after this came out, I have people that catch me and say, okay, I'm Catholic. Am I about to be monitored now? This sends all the wrong message on it. I do have to tell you, we've talked about this before. When I saw the memo and looked through it, I was not surprised to be able to see the source document that they came back through was the Southern Poverty Law Center, which we've talked about before, is not the FBI, but for whatever reason, the FBI continues to be able to count on them for who's the listing of a hate group. They have a long history of having anti-Christian bias, And there's multiple different entities that they've actually tried to go after on that as a hate group. But for whatever reason, the FBI continues to be able to count them as a source to be able to identify this. This is a very real problem. And the FBI needs to identify on its own. We have great resources. What are the threats there? Not outsource that to a group that is known to be not center left, but far left group and has its own set of biases as well.